conversation. We're focusing on the mobile network industry with Richard Hurst. He's a senior analyst at Ovum. Lots of headlines unfolding today. Richard, take your pick. Should we start with the MTN Nathi Mthethwa getting that union deal, and then let's move on to ICASA and Vodacom?
If you'd like to discuss that, please, let's go ahead.
Good news for Mthethwa to come in on the back of that and be able to seal a deal. But is it setting a precedent?
Well, the question is, has he just given in?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's there's been a bit of caving in there, because it was all about the bonuses. And if we look at this, this is very much that they've caved in, and they basically said to the unions, yes, we will agree to what you're saying. So there is no real middle ground, which is what one would expect from this type of negotiation.
Was the initial ask not 16% on bonus and eventually settled on 8%? So surely if there's ever a middle ground, 8 is going to be it.
Sure, but then there are other things like the bonuses are based on whether the company performs or not. So there are certain issues. But I think it also hangs with the other story of the day, which is Telkom and its retrenchment process and what it needs to do. And I think it kind of rings the bell as to what is happening within the industry. All these network operators are between a rock and a hard place. Their revenues are not that stellar anymore, while input costs are rising. They have to deal with this in some way, and one is to look at your headcount.
You mentioned the fact that prices are coming down and revenues coming down, but obviously, I mean, if you look at international trends, I think 10 years online, we are going to be using a lot more data than we are right now. Aren't these companies taking advantage, or why are they not taking advantage of this, what should be a massively growing market? No more voice over mobile, but rather data to your home.
Well, the quick answer to that is that actually the margins on your voice business are bigger and way more profitable than on your data business. So the network operators don't want their end users to use as much data. Let me couch that in the right terms though. They do want you to take up the correct data services, but they're seeing that revenue eroded by the OTT players, the WhatsApps, the Skypes, the etc., which are coming in and taking their traditional revenues.
I heard a radio interview with the new chief executive at MTN, and for the first time I heard a sort of clear, basic admission from one of the big companies that the network is not good enough, that there are too many drop calls. So that is another rock and a hard, third rock.
Yes.
Because the revenue's declining and they've had it too easy for too long. And now they've actually got to spend money because the quality is not good enough.
And they have to invest in their infrastructure and capacity, while at the same time they're not realizing those same revenues that they did in the golden days of cellular.
Richard, let's go to court. Let's quickly talk about Telkom dragging ICASA to court over that NeoTel and Vodacom deal. Are they wasting their money? Is there any possibility that this could swing in their favor?
I think they've picked a couple of issues. One was the rollout of broadband, the other one was the BEE stake. But I think what's really interesting is that they haven't mentioned the Competition Commission's findings. And I think that there's like several issues there. One is the use of the spectrum. They've said only after 2 years. And there's other things, such as the rollout of the networks, etc. So what I was really hoping from the Competition Commission was that there would be some clear guidelines as to enabling further competition in the sector as we're seeing this consolidation go ahead.
What about this retrenchment offer? It sounds, again, like a state or semi-state institution is going to let its best people go because it rewards them for leaving because it can't afford to pay them.
I think that's going to be very much a symptom of what their cost-cutting initiatives are going to bear. But they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. They have to go through this. It's a critical issue for Telkom to cut their costs to become more efficient.
Parting shot?
Richard, just to give an idea for the overall industry, how inefficient is our industry, local industry, compared to, for instance, the US or Europe? How much more are we paying than we should be paying if we were having properly efficient providers in this country?
I think you'd find that it's we're paying an excessive premium for some of our services, which are the basic services, voice and data.
Like how much? What percentage would you think?
That would be unfair for me to actually put a number to it. I do have some numbers that I can share at a later stage.
Well, when you share them with Verve, give us a bit of a peek as well. That's an excessive premium South African consumers are paying telcos to get their voice and data services through. A very big thank you to Richard Hurst. He's a senior analyst at Ovum, giving us an insight into the biggest stories around the telcos today.
And